Yes, and Jeffon Shia Muafarium Shejina Bia, a year Kotoka International Airport at Wachina, Wobie anon hon, a church and Shia Wudwa, a bayan ediato hon, na bra bojano, or swafua or sharp Mudin Samson, a bedia chair or Bernard, or Coboy in the Dian Mukasaye, sounds to a Ghana Health Service, Dr. Penny Odano, a year Dr. Patrikuma Boajin Sukasaye, and somebody to Jabion say, supposing any beer from any PM or Ghana, I just want your dollar no or had you num $150 one years are testing be mano. Na sa kwabaso was a yari any beer, yet na my doctor for my or machine.
Before this reopening, we had evacuation special flights coming to Ghana. Any passenger who got on board actually paid for 2 weeks of hotel bills before coming to Ghana. And if you are paying an average of, let's say, even $70 a night, you have to multiply $70 by 14 days. The cost far overwhelms what you charge for, the test we are doing right now. Secondly, if we should keep you here for 6 hours, for the other test regimes that take 6 hours, it will pose a risk of congestion at the airport, which in itself will serve as an incubation chamber for possibly a sharing of the virus amongst passengers. So the factors tell us that it is actually proper or prudent to go with this regime. Thirdly, remember that when Ghana first quarantined travelers in this country, and we picked over 100 and so cases, we actually tested them twice. And each PCR test we did cost an average $70 to $100. So Ghana spent close to $200 on one person to make sure that the virus is not brought to Ghanaians. And so for the passenger to pay $150, which is less than what we paid, and we fed them as well, I think it is a very good bargaining. If you want to come to Ghana, we as a government are interested in you coming, but we don't want you to come here with the virus. And by the way, nothing is more expensive than getting a virus.
Rules will be one mandatory face mask by all persons accessing the Kotoka International Airport, including the car parks, among other places. Enforcement of the social distancing protocols, and lastly, the mandatory hand hygiene, as using alcohol-based sanitizers to be able to wash your hands. For arriving passengers, as has been mentioned, you need to come in with a negative PCR test taken at most 72 hours before you travel into the country. Ghanaians who travel for a meeting that returns in less than a week or within a week will be exempted from having to come in with a negative PCR test, and that's very important for people to know. There's also a digitized health declaration form that people can fill. You can even complete that before you arrive. That will tell us whether your risk level, are you sick, have you had any situation, where have you traveled to, so that allow the airport health to be able to properly assess the risk that you are carrying in addition to your negative PCR test. The mandatory COVID-19 test on arrival, has been mentioned, will be done. And by the time you go through and get down to the port health before you go to immigration, your results will be there for them to be able to access you to allow in. Children under 5 will not be tested because the risk is low and all the inconvenience that goes with it. Air crew will also not be subjected to the mandatory testing at the airport here, but they will have to follow their own protocols as far as the airline testing is concerned.
And rather, Wabra, Mampeni, and Ghana for